Hello and welcome back to the Frugal Granny channel. My name's Ali, I'm Frugal Granny, and you're very welcome if you're new here or if you're a returning viewer. The aim of my channel is to document the process of my retirement journey over the course of months and possibly years until I get my state pension in 2 years' time. I retired from my office job in June. Well, I stopped working on the 5th of June, but I ceased to be an employee at that office at the end of this month. And I've been documenting my journey since the middle of April until now. And today, being supermarket payday weekend, and I should add here that I work 21 hours a week as a semi-retirement job at a supermarket, and being payday weekend we get a little bit of extra colleague discount, so I've done a bit of shopping for the coming month of July. And when I've shown you that, because the shopping isn't terribly much to be honest, we'll have a little quick tour around the garden and talk about a few other things that I've mentioned in my earlier videos. So if you'll bear with me while I just turn the camera around, we'll have a look at what I bought. Right, well, here's the now familiar scene of my kitchen table, I guess, and these are the things I have bought as my monthly regular items for July. I know July doesn't start for another week, maybe a little bit longer, but supermarket payday weekend is this weekend, which is 21st, 22nd of July, and I want to take advantage of the increased staff discount that we get on that weekend. So these bits and bobs are for July, and I will be putting them away so they don't get used. So let's go and have a look. Right, there's a few odd bits here. I've bought some click and seal food bags because I am actually running out of freezer bags, which is quite incredible. I've not bought freezer bags for a couple of years now. I've got plenty of larger ones, but the smaller ones, especially as they tend to have fish and things frozen in them, have run out a lot quicker. So I've bought the click and seal food bags. The ones with the zip were a bit more expensive, so I didn't get those. I needed some nail brushes. I don't know where the nail brushes in this house have all disappeared to, but they've gone, and so I got those. They were, I think, £1 for 3 if I bought 2 of these keep it handy packs. So the only other thing I really wanted on that stand was a pair of scissors. Those I'm going to keep purely for the kitchen rather than using them in the garden for cut flowers and for food. I'm going to keep those entirely for food, and I will know that's the pair because they've got this sort of red button there. So those are going to be the food ones. I also realized this week we were out of germaline, or literally down to the last squash, so I've bought a little bit more of that. It wasn't cheap, but that's the brand of antiseptic cream I've always used, and I like to have it there in my first aid cupboard, so I've got some of that. As I was going around the store, I decided to check on treats for Kitty. These are on offer at the moment. I think they're down to 90 something p a packet, and you get 3 in a packet, and they're little because she's only little. They're usually £1.30 a packet, but they were on club card offer, so I've got myself 6 of the beef and poultry and 6 of the chicken and lamb. So that will last Kitty a couple of months. I mean, she tends to have 1 a day. I mean, it might last a bit longer, but when I go out to work in the evening, I like to leave her with something to keep herself occupied, and these are perfect. And then the jumbo kitchen towels also for Kitty, for when she's been outside, and then she comes back in, I give her a little wipe. And yeah, I know wine isn't necessarily essential, but I always like to have one on a Friday night, and it lasts me all weekend, and that's sort of my weekend treat. I may find after June, July, that I can't actually afford to do that anymore, so I'm just going to enjoy that while it lasts. Behind it, and I know I've got a stick for this in the past, some lemonade, and also the only bottle of ginger beer left in the shop. I really wanted 4 lemonades and 4 ginger beers, but I thought I'm not going to get knocked again for buying sodas. So I just got 2 lemonades this time, and I use that to dilute orange juice, and that's really nice and refreshing on a hot day, as is ginger beer. And the ginger beer is my nod in the direction of trying to ease myself off allocating myself 4 bottles of wine a month, and eventually I'll just end up on cups of tea, I know, but that's fine. It is what it is for now. Then the usual 2 packs of 6 toilet rolls, that's for July. And then coming back over here, this month I decided I was going to go for two packets, 2 bulk packs of spring water. I do like spring water because it settles my stomach. Yeah, so I've got 2 of those, and if that lasts me longer than the month, then that's great. And also another thing I realised we were running out of was spray deodorant. So there's 3 there for my son, and when those have gone, he'll be on his own in that respect. And then there's 3 for me. I mean, working in a supermarket in hot weather, you do need to keep yourself fresh, and so I've got myself some extra spray-on deodorant to complement the other things that I use. So to be honest with you, that's it for July in terms of my regular shopping. I know it's not terribly exciting, but it is what it is. In the background there's some lovely yellow tulips that were going free in the staff common room. Lovely bright cheerful tulips. I've got myself some earrings as well. These may seem a bit of an extravagance, but I'm going to a college reunion at the end of next month, and those will go very nicely with the dress I bought from Vinted last month. Right, the last thing on this table is a farrow and ball colour chart. My contractor is now asking me quite desperately to choose the colour of my front door, and I'm sort of a bit stuck. I really want a faded coastal blue, but looking at his face, he's not terribly keen on that. But then, as he said to me, it's my front door, and he's right, it's my front door. So I'm still mulling on that. I think I'm really going on either the Lulworth or the Kittiwake. It's a little bit 60s, but I want to think that I'm living by the sea, even though I'm not. I don't know, we'll see. I've still got another couple of days to mull over that. Right, I'm just going to take you over to the other side of the kitchen quickly to show you something I mentioned in one of my other videos. Right, so this is the new toaster, the one I had stored in my wardrobe ready for my other toaster to break down, which I knew was only going to be a matter of when rather than if. So this is the John Lewis Any Day toaster I had stashed in my wardrobe, and there's now another one back in my wardrobe to replace this one, so I've still got a backup toaster. And as I explained in my last video, I bought that on a £24, well, it was a £25 gift voucher that I paid £24 for, and I've already paid that off my credit card this morning out of the repair and replace fund, my repair and replace sinking fund, and that's what sinking funds are for. Right, I'm not going to show you the plates that I bought to replace the 2 broken plates because they don't match. The rims are not quite right. They're not as defined as the plates that I have already. So the plates are going back to John Lewis via Waitrose, possibly early this afternoon. Right, as my shopping haul wasn't that big, I thought I would take you on a quick trip around the garden and see what's happening there. On the way, here's a very tired and hot little kitty lying on the stone floor. She's really suffered this week with the hot weather, but I've been doing my best for her. At least it's cool down there. Right, continuing on the theme of toasters, that's the broken one that's sat with all the stuff that's waiting to go to the tip. Next to it, to the left, is the rotten finial off the roof of my house. There it is there. The top was new 9 years ago, but what I didn't realise is that the contractor I hired at that time just screwed the new finial on top of the rotten base, and you can see where he has filled the rotten base with the wrong kind of filler according to my current contractor. So anyway, the current contractor has taken off the whole finial, replaced it with a new one. He's already primed it and it looks absolutely great. So that stuff there is all waiting to go to the tip. Okay, so let's go around the garden the other way today, seeing as though we're over here. I have rather spoilt myself this month and bought 2 6-packs of white busy lizzies that were on offer at the supermarket. So there's 2 of them there, and the white hydrangea I bought last year is now out in bloom, which is wonderful. As I said before, those will be going out the front once the renovation work out there is done. There's another one of the busy lizzies, and on that side of the step 2 more, and the other white hydrangea, and a little visitor. Hello, kitty cat. Kitty cat. No, she's not interested. Well, I don't blame her. Right, so the one thing I have done since I last talked to you is take the decorative shrubs out of this bed and put in 5 courgettes, the remaining purple sprouting broccoli that would have gone in the bin if I hadn't planted them, and some bunching leeks. Now, I know that you're going to say this is really tightly planted, and yes it is, but last year all of my courgettes failed. Last year the slugs ate all of my brassicas. So basically I'm expecting either the brassicas or the courgettes to go the way of all flesh, which means that the spacing in this bed won't be as bad as it looks at the moment. If both survive, which I hope they do, then the theory is that the brassicas will overshadow the courgettes and I will be planting in 2 layers, so to speak. The leeks are a little bit of an experiment. I've planted them in bunches. I don't expect them to grow into fully grown leeks, but if I can pull them up and harvest them as bunches, then I can chop them into stews or quiches or leek and ham bake. And all I'm really after, to be honest with you, is a bit of green and a taste of leeks. So the perennial shrubs that were in here have been moved. There's one of them there, that little white flowering lavender, that's been moved to the edge, and there's another one there, and that big spreading oregano was in a pot. I needed the pot for something else, so that's gone back in there, where there was an oregano last summer that I sacrificed to make a white flowering garden that didn't work. So I'm basically putting things back the way they were. I'm just going to move around the parasol pole, one moment. In the back of the bed there is a self-seeded blue borage, and underneath it some white flowering borage that I grew especially because it's got white flowers. So I'm hoping those will all self-seed. And down to the right there are garlic chives and the strawberries, which are beginning to produce about a bowlful a day now, which is wonderful. On the fence, the Oregon thornless blackberry is now flowering profusely, and some of the fruit is beginning to form. The white Budlia in the corner is still looking very sorry for itself, but we'll see what happens with that. And the sage has just gone crazy. Those little fluffy things at the front are Nigella seedlings I grew in a tray and just shoved in the ground, and those in the corner there between the sage and the other strawberries, it's supposed to be white cosmos, but I can see one of them's come out pink already, so we'll just see what happens there. And here the white Agapanthus are beginning to bloom. The white Agapanthus are the pots that I keep in the back all the time. These are the pots here, usually out the front. There's a euonymus there, that's evergreen, so that looks nice right through the winter. That convolvulus came out of the bed behind me and is looking a bit sorry for itself, but we'll see how we go. And then there's a white flowering fuchsia there that came out of the bed where I've put the courgettes, as did, no, this, I think it's a cistus, came out of the bed behind me, and this rather sorry for itself looking thing was round the front, and I'm trying to rejuvenate it. Here we've got one of my fig trees. Still no sign of fruit on this one, but I'm going to give it a bit more of a chance because it mirrors the fig tree that's behind me. But while we're here, you can see that the Loganberries are beginning to come through. This is a cross between a blackberry and a raspberry, and this one is thornless, and I like it because it covers the fence. It's not prickly to children or dogs, and you sort of get the raspberry taste without all those thorny stems taking up a lot of square meterage. Okay, so in the back left-hand bed I've planted quite a lot of curly kale, and the white stuff on the surface is broken eggshell in an attempt to keep the slugs at bay. One of them, yeah, that one there, has got quite a lot of slug damage, but I mean, if I lose one out of all of these, it won't be too much of a loss. And while I'm here, apart from Kitty, who's trying to get in shot, there's a lovely strawberry there which I will come back for later, and a couple more hiding down there. I don't think you can see them, but again, these pots were from out front. There's another of the white fuchsias that was in the front right hand bed, and these pots here, again, they'll be going back out front apart from the Agapanthus, and that middle pot there with the scabious in will be going back out front. Still trying to decide what to do with the bay tree that's in the pot with the stones on top of it, but that's the replacement one that came from B&Q. 1 minute. Okay, going back to the left hand side of the garden, there's another strawberry hiding down there. Now this Budlia, I decided to do a little bit of an experiment, and I cut off all of the leaves that looked like they'd got leaf curl, and to be honest with you, I'm not sure what is going to happen now. I'm hoping that it will sort of bud from the leaf axils, but there's no movement at the moment, but it hasn't died yet, so we'll just leave it as it is for now. And the sedum trough is flowering. Yeah, the little house leeks, some of them are still looking a bit brown, but there's some babies coming off them, so there's hope yet. And then here is the plum tree. Gosh, that needs some water, doesn't it? I have been watering it, but it's been so hot here this week. I think you might be able to see some plums in here. They're still green, and looking at the floor, I don't think we've actually lost any. None of the fruit has fallen yet. And again, more Loganberries on the fence. Right, I'm just going to turn the camera around now. 1 minute. Okay, going into the shaded seating area at the back of the garden. There's the blueberry plants. All of those lovely blueberries that were on it have fallen off, so there's no blueberries really this year. Well, actually there may be a few on that one, just a few. We'll see if they last. I'm not holding out much hope, to be honest with you. And again, nothing on the red currant or the black currant bush this year. I think I pruned those too hard last year, so I'm just going to have to sit it out with currants this year. The mint tub, the garden mint's going crazy, and thankfully, my variegated ginger mint has revived itself. So I'm hoping to get that nice and strong by the end of the summer, and I'm going to protect it a lot better next winter, because I think it just rotted in the ground last winter, and I don't want to lose it again. They're quite hard to come by, those variegated ginger mints, but they're They're lovely in a fruit salad or, you know, a Pimm's type drink. They're very decorative and they've got a great taste. At the bottom of the red currant, I've got some foxglove seedlings, so I'm bringing those on because they'll flower next year. I need to come round and water again later. Everything's dried up so quickly. Okay, so this is the rhubarb bed. As you can see, I've pulled quite a lot of the stems out. They've been chopped up and put in the freezer. And behind is the pear tree, and there's a few pears coming on that, a lot more than last year. So I'm looking forward to a pear and almond tart at some stage. And again, my fig tree. The figs are really, really beginning to swell now. Just trying to find some that you can see. Oh, there's some right there. And some more right here. And then the thing that's really taken off this week are the purple sprouting broccoli plants in here. They've practically doubled in size. I mentioned in my last video that I gave the garden a really good soak, and that's made all the difference. And as you can see, there's one lettuce left there and 2 lettuces left there. There were originally, let me just count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There were at least 12, if not 15 lettuces in here, and the slugs have taken all of them. Around the edge, I've still got the perennial spinach. Some of it's beginning to go to seed due to the heat, but I'm hoping I can save some of it. I'm going to pick the flower stalks out and see if that helps. And then there's some chives, they need thinning out a bit. And then over here the nasturtiums have started to flower. I like to put nasturtium flowers on my salads. I sometimes tear them up into couscous to give it a yellow flavour, a yellow look. And the little leaves give a nice mustardy taste to salads. Just don't overdo it, really. Yeah, that's the nasturtiums. Then round here in the seating area, over the last week I found 2 lovely outdoor cushions in a skip. They were a little bit of a mess, but I've scrubbed them and soaked them in bleach and rinsed them and dried them, and now they're in pride of place on my chairs. They're a little bit maximalist for me, but I do think they're rather fun, and I've got my grandkids coming to stay soon, and I'm hoping that they'll think they're rather fun too. And then the plant houses are empty now because everything's gone in the ground or been given away, and the 4 tomato plants that I have been given are now in carrier bags full of potting compost. I honestly could not justify or afford buying any more plant pots, so I decided to go down this route. I've stabbed a couple of holes in the bottom of the bags for drainage, and they're in the plant houses there, and the crossbars of the shelves will help to support the plants as they grow. They really should be a little bit bigger and further on than they are, but you know, it is what it is, and I'm doing what I can with them. And then on the very, very top shelf, hang on a moment, there are 3 pots of germinating oregano plants. And to be honest with you, that's it in my garden at the moment. The jasmine there is blossoming and gives a lovely smell in the evening. So there you are, there's my garden and my minuscule, boring shopping haul. The infamous toaster and the rotten finial. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that little tour, and I will be back on Thursday with Coffee and Catch Up 7. Thank you for coming along, and I'll talk to you again next time.